The Montauk project could be considered the centerpiece of lesser-known conspiracy theory, but today you'll learn more. Time travel, teleportation and mind control are all part of this story, which will add a mysterious touch to some strange things as well as understand where the main sources of references for the Stranger Things series come from, what it is about, what has been accomplished. Is this project related to the Philadelphia project? Let's find out right now. In 1982, Preston B. Nichols and Peter Moon wrote a science fiction book that rocked the world, The Montauk Project – Experiment in Time. According to Nichols, he wrote the book after recovering repressed memories of his participation as a researcher in the project. It was an incredibly detailed story, with descriptions of the inner workings of the facility, the procedures they were doing, the out-of-this-world technologies they were using, and the bizarre paranormal incidents he witnessed. The book is also told from the perspective of a young man from a New York community who disappeared in Montauk and went on incredible time-traveling adventures. The Montauk Project is an unforgettable story about the mysteries of time travel. The most widest thing about this book is that one of the authors, Nichols, claimed that the story was drawn from his own experiences, which he recalled later in life. This got the tongues wagging and people began to recall similar experiences. The story gained so much traction that the good old US of A was abused with theories, some even pointing fingers at the government. Yes, in addition to Nichols, there were several other people who, over time, said they remember being in that dark place. Without further ado, let's hear the tales of the brave souls who venture into the dark depths of the unknown place. In 1984, a science fiction movie was made about the Philadelphia experiment, conveniently titled The Philadelphia Experiment. But it wasn't until 1988, when a 50-year-old man named Alfred Bielek saw the movie, that he claimed to have experienced an overwhelming sense of déjà vu. Bielek, like Nichols, said he was able to recover numerous repressed memories of his extensive involvement not only in the Philadelphia experiment, but also in something called the Montauk Project, claiming that the two were intertwined. So then, Bielek stated that his memory had been erased with the CIA's MK-Ultra techniques to keep the project secret. He also said that his real name was Edward Cameron, and that he and his brother, Duncan Cameron, were part of the crew of the USS Eldridge in 1943, when they were in their 20s. In 1980, Bielek himself told his story to attendees at the Mutual UFO Network conference, claiming that not only was the Philadelphia experiment real, but that he and his brother were aboard the ship when it happened. He claimed that Nikola Tesla himself created the mechanism that led to the disappearance of the USS Eldridge and even caused the opening of a wormhole, also known as the Einstein-Rosen bridge, that left the two brothers in the middle of a Montauk camp hero on August 12, 1983. More shockingly, the crux of this connection lies in the fact that he and his brother joined the Montauk Project, which grew out of the electromagnetic research of the Philadelphia experiment. Bielek and Nichols became chums in the 70s, leading to the invention of something they called the Montauk chair, a device purported to read minds and to be the key to the project and research. Preston Nichols wrote a book about his wild tale of tinkering with the Montauk chair, involving electromagnetic fields and producing supernatural powers in the lucky person who got to plop down in it. Bizarrely enough, his brother Duncan Cameron was gifted with supernatural abilities, like having the power to discover hidden objects with his brain. As part of the Montauk project, the Montauk chair was apparently used to create interdimensional portals and access the weird world of remote viewing, which is being able to see distant events, people, objects, and places with psychic powers. It is sobering that some of the most heinous experiments of the MONTAUK project involve the abduction of innocent children as young as 4 years old, known as the MONTAUK boys. Nichols provides a heartbreaking account of how these youngsters were taken from their homes and subjected to mental and psychical torture. Sadly, the trauma was such that most of these poor children spent the rest of their lives trying to forget the horrible experiences they had at Camp Hero. Meet Stewart Swerdlow, a 50-year-old Michigan resident who was one of the MONTAUK boys, according to the Sun newspaper in 2017. He claims he and several other boys were victims of some pretty gnarly abuse. Apparently, the experimenters were looking for vulnerable kids, like orphans or runaways, who no one would miss. The whole goal was to break their minds, so they were subjected to extreme temperature changes, starvation and overfeeding, beatings with a wooden stick and nail drawings. Stewart Swerdlow thinks their evil plan worked like a charm, making people do whatever the savior demanded, not to mention the altered state induced by the LSD. But the craziest part of it all, Swerdlow even saw the project staff abusing children to break their minds and even sending the MONTAUK boys to Mars and back to biblical times through portals. In view of this testimony, we can be sure of one thing: he abused LSD during his life, but this is only my personal opinion. Joe Loffreno of Mautank, now 56 years old, has spent 80 years of his life working at Camp Hero State Park, which is convinced houses some of the most sinister secrets of Long Island. His nightmares have been dominated by the bunker's dark underbelly, and now, after 40 minutes of hypnotism, he believes that he was one of the MONTAUK boys, described in Preston Nichols' book, a victim of some truly horrible experiments. The New Yorker reckons he was snatched and mistreated in the sweating summers of 1980 and 1981, when he was just a 12-year-old boy. He recollects, under hypnosis, that the stranger kid asked him to pedal along with him to the base. When they got there, 2 men in plain clothes were waiting for them, along with some other kids he didn't know. They were taken through Battery 113, an artillery tunnel left behind from World War II and now blocked off, to a subway station inside the base. The Camp Hero State Park employee remembers being stretched out on a table with wires attached to his head. He alleges they were tested like lab rats, and reckons he spotted around 50 other kids there, and thinks some of them were later exterminated. The New York Post cautions that it would be all too easy to deem Loffreno loony, but he's got a job at the park, a good relationship with his kids, and his neighbors see him as a pal. Plus, while under hypnosis, he and a colleague went to the spot he recalled from his visions, and they found remnants of an underground structure. If they gave him a bulldozer and the okay to dig, he's sure he'd come across some concrete structures buried beneath the dirt. By the early 1980s, things were getting a little too crazy for the project's experiments, and as Nichols pointed out, they decided to call it a day. The MONTAUK share was really weird. What you imagine would first appear on a transmitter screen before materializing in it in the real world, in solid or transparent form. But something even weirder happened, and Nichols, along with Duncan Cameron and others, revolted against the project. This something was so out of the ordinary that they had to destroy all the equipment to prevent this creature from escaping its own dimension, or something like that. According to Nichols, the basement of Camp Hero was cemented shut and everyone involved had their memories erased by MK Ultra techniques, like something out of a wacky science fiction movie. Despite all that has happened, the dismantled research facility is still there and continues to draw curious onlookers and passersby as a tourist attraction, with a theme of horror and government conspiracies. As compelling as the stories in this book are, it is ultimately up to the reader to decide whether to believe them or not. To date, there is no concrete evidence that the stories are true. The MONTAUK project and its wild stories are purely fictional, but who knows, maybe in the future, evidence will certainly emerge from the depths of government archives in the years or decades to come. Only time will tell. The MONTAUK project and Stranger Things have many similarities. One of the most obvious is that both stories involve supernatural phenomena and mysterious government experiments. In both cases, the protagonists must uncover the secrets of these experiments and use their newfound knowledge and powers to fight against sinister forces. Both stories also feature a group of children. Another similarity between the Montauk Project and Stranger Things is that both stories take place in a small town. In the Montauk Project, the town is Montauk, New York, and in Stranger Things, it is Hawkins, Indiana. Both stories also feature a large laboratory or facility where the experiments take place. Finally, both stories have a similar atmosphere, a nostalgic feel reminiscent of the 1980s, with a strong sense of anxiety and dread. Finally, the testimonies refer to a creature or something that will have grown larger and larger, and will have required the abandonment of the project and the closing of the hangars in order to prevent this thing from coming out or entering our dimension. Overall, the Montauk Project and Stranger Things have many similarities, both in plot and atmosphere. These similarities make for two intriguing and fascinating stories, which let us know that the Stranger Things series was inspired by a real story, that of the Montauk Project. Thanks for watching this video, see you every day on the reels and next Friday for another long video. Bye bye!